Welcome back to Bible Truth Diggers. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating but lesser-known stories in the Old Testament, that of Abiathar the priest. Abiathar's life was filled with both loyalty and sacrifice, but it ultimately ended in tragedy and exile. In this video, we'll walk through his journey, examining his loyalty to David, the personal costs he endured, and his heartbreaking choice that led to his downfall under Solomon. If you're ready for an in-depth look, grab your Bible and let's get started. To understand Abiathar's story, we have to start with his roots. Abiathar was the son of Ahimelech, the high priest of Nob, making him a descendant of Eli. He grew up learning the responsibilities of priesthood, likely performing rituals and helping his father with sacrifices at the tabernacle. But his life took a tragic turn early on. King Saul, tormented by jealousy, ordered the massacre of all the priests at Nob after discovering they had aided David. Abiathar witnessed the brutal death of his father and almost his entire priestly family. He was the sole survivor, fleeing with nothing but the clothes on his back and an ephod, the sacred garment used to seek God's guidance. Abiathar's escape brought him to David, who was living as a fugitive from Saul. From that moment, Abiathar's life was defined by sacrifice, risk, and unwavering loyalty. Imagine the emotional toll on Abiathar. He had just lost his entire family. By siding with David, he chose a life of danger and exile over any chance at stability. But he saw in David a future king anointed by God, and he stayed loyal, becoming David's personal priest and confidant. This loyalty was no small thing. By aligning himself with David, Abiathar was essentially putting a target on his back. At any point, Saul could have found and killed them both. Yet, Abiathar was there with David, offering counsel and seeking God's direction through the ephod, a practice David relied on heavily during his years on the run. Abiathar's sacrifices went beyond mere physical danger. He gave up his claim to a stable life as a priest and accepted a path of suffering, not for personal gain but for the sake of Israel and God's chosen king. His loyalty became a symbol of his deep trust in God's plan, even when it meant hardship. Now, let's rewind a bit to better understand the curse that lingered over Abiathar's family line. In 1 Samuel 2, God had declared that Eli's descendants would no longer serve as priests due to the corrupt actions of Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas. This ancient curse would have been known to Abiathar, and despite his loyalty to David and dedication to God, this shadow still hung over him. For many years, it seemed as if Abiathar had escaped this curse. He rose to prominence, faithfully serving as high priest during David's reign, and he shared in David's victories and in the blessings God poured out over Israel. But the words of prophecy were set to be fulfilled in a way Abiathar could not have anticipated. As David aged, a power struggle emerged over who would inherit the throne. David had chosen his son Solomon, but his older son, Adonijah, declared himself king before David had died, gathering supporters. In a surprising move, Abiathar, who had been loyal to David for so long, threw his support behind Adonijah. Why did Abiathar side with Adonijah? There are a few possible reasons. He may have felt Adonijah, as the eldest living son, had the rightful claim, or he may have feared the growing influence of Solomon's camp. Regardless of his reasons, this was a shocking betrayal. After decades of loyalty, Abiathar made a choice that would ultimately lead to his downfall. With the help of Nathan the prophet and Bathsheba, Solomon was named king according to David's wishes. Adonijah's rebellion was quashed, and Solomon dealt swiftly with those who had supported his brother. Abiathar, once David's most trusted priest, was now a traitor in Solomon's eyes. Now comes the climax of Abiathar's story. Solomon, newly crowned, summoned Abiathar and pronounced his judgment. But rather than ordering his death, Solomon showed mercy. Solomon told him, "Go back to your fields in Anathoth. You deserve death, but I will not put you to death now, because you carried the ark of the Lord before my father David and shared in all his hardships." Solomon's words were filled with respect for the years Abiathar had sacrificed for David. Yet the consequence of his betrayal was still severe. He was stripped of his priestly duties and exiled to Anathoth, his ancestral lands. In this way, the ancient curse on Eli's line came to pass. Abiathar's line would no longer serve as priests in Israel. The once loyal priest who had walked with David through every trial and victory was now cast out. His priestly career ended in shame. Abiathar's story holds some powerful lessons for us today. His early life showed great faith, sacrifice, and loyalty. Despite facing unspeakable loss, he stayed devoted to God's chosen king, risking his life for David again and again. Yet, his final act, choosing Adonijah over Solomon, serves as a reminder that even the most faithful can falter when their trust shifts from God's plan. Abiathar's story is a reminder of the weight of our choices. One moment of misalignment with God's purpose can drastically alter the course of our lives. Abiathar's life challenges us to remain steadfast, not just in the early days of our journey, but in every season. Thank you for watching and exploring Abiathar's life with us. If this story touched you or taught you something new, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Join us next time as we dive into more incredible, real-life lessons from the Bible. See you in the next video.